Hello, welcome to our channel as we adjust our camera and ensure that it's running so the FBI doesn't shut us down. After all, you have to have some terrorists to fight, right? Anyway, the deadly dust hits Utah as Trump flip-flops on the Epstein files. But why is he flip-flopping? Why is he saying we'll release it and then we won't release it? Why did he flip-flop and lie? That's the key to this situation. First of all, a note from our advertiser. An advertiser that I buy from because I enjoy buying from them. Noble Gold Investments, 877-646-5347. $7 trillion is now in money market funds. In the last year, my favorite money market, Pioneer, has gone up 4.5%. Can I invest in it? No, the FBI all sees it. So I invest in gold and silver because I say things the terrorists don't like. But Pioneer is my favorite. It's the most conservative. So we've got over $7 trillion in money market funds, and you've gained about 4.5% in the last 12 months. Gold has gone up 38% in the last 12 months. And that's being suppressed by the LBMA in London. So it's gone up 30, 36, 37, 38%, depending on how you figure it, what day. But your money market's gone up 4.5%. Now, do you want a 4.5% return or do you want a 38% return? As we move towards the end of the year and the deficits skyrocket, Powell ain't going nowhere. He's going to keep them interest rates high, so we're paying a ton on our debt. So our debt will keep going up and up. You want to get another 4% on your money as inflation hits 30%? Or do you want to get 38% on your money? It's up to you. That's why I call Noble Gold. Mama didn't raise no stupid kids. I invest in a private investment. The SEC seizes it. I invest in stocks. Wells Fargo seizes it. I invest in other stocks. The FBI seizes it. They seize bank accounts. Mama didn't raise no fool. I got it in gold off-site. Can't be raided. It's mine. They can't have it. Anyway, a little bit about our relationship with Noble Gold. They put some money in our nonprofit, and we're sending a friend down to another friend's house who has brain cancer, and she's bringing Immucyst, I paid for it, seaweed, and turmeric with her. Now you have two choices. A 5% survival rate over 10 years or a 99% survival rate over 10 years. It's your choice. You figure out the middle. So she's flying down there to give her seaweed, Immucyst, and turmeric, which always reduces swelling. I know there's a million other things out there, but you know what? When you get an A+ on a test, you don't want to argue about the answers. I did once. I went from an A+ to an A++, but that's on a nuclear, biological, and chemical test. And I just talked with the instructors. Anyway, Social Security director said that in terms of Social Security and the hit on Trump last July, they said they had 3 weeks warning before the assassination attempt. Ronald Rose said that. He lied. This ambassador gave him 90 days of warning. We told him who, what, when, where, why, and how. We told him to keep the upper right and the upper left clear. You can go back to my old videos because there's going to be somebody with a rifle there. We told him 90 days out. Now we have this new director, Sean Curran, who happens to be another idiot. Maybe he's a demon. Maybe he's a shapeshifter. But he sure as heck ain't human because he's dumber than a rock. And he says, yeah, we had a 3-month, we don't know if there's any other future assassination attempts on President Trump. Yeah, what about 6 August? God gave this to us all the time, but you can't admit that God is here because you worship your Lucifer, your daddy. Hell is for all eternity, Sean. So, 6 August, pig. 6 August, 4 for Bush, 165 for Biden, and over 90 for Trump. 100% success rate. God's never wrong. So, Mr. Sean Curran, 6 August, you pig, and tell Betty Boop, Susie Wiles, promised I wouldn't yell or scream at her just because she's a lying sack of horse manure. Susan Wiles, the chief of staff and holds all the news back from Trump, or the Trump double or the Trump triple or whoever's currently in the White House. She's the idiot that's not telling Trump 6 August. And we gave the who, what, when, where, why, how for the 6th of August, plus or minus 3 days, because all satanic worship, all satanic sacrifices are plus or minus 3 days. We know who's going to do it, why they're going to do it, and where they're going to do it. And the Secret Service couldn't give a frickin' rat's rat. You know, what's 4 plus 165 plus 95? That's a lot of hit attempts. That's a lot of 100% rights. But the Secret Service can't figure that out. Sean Curran is an idiot. Anyway, unbelievable lying in the Secret Service. Anyway, the host of The View said we have to have violence against ICE agents. We have to kill them. We have to beat them up. And there were no arrests made. Thank you, Pam Bondi, for not arresting someone on The View, which is government supported, and now they're calling for the assassination of Trump and ICE agents. And there have been no arrests. Thank you, Pam Bondi. Dan Bongino. I don't want to get your name wrong, you lying sack of horse manure. Kash Patel. Thank you for no arrests, you little girly boys. And on the main story, the two main stories, the deadly dust. We, the people of the United States, launched 2,500 nukes at our worst enemy, Nevada. We're still launching them underground. In fact, Iran just launched one underground. How do we know it was a nuke? Because our satellite said it was a nuke. Boom! Radiation. So, nuclear weapons do not exist in Iran. Yeah, what was that they just torched off? President Trump. Anyway, bottom line is, when NASA decided to murder Americans in California, Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, Wyoming, Texas, Arizona, by drying out everything from California east. When NASA made the decision to use dried in air to kill everyone and burn the country down and fill the atmosphere with smoke to cool the planet and kill people. By the way, there was just another deadly flooding. Texas. Remember, this flooding is going to continue in Texas because nobody stopped the contract. President Trump has not neutralized the contract to kill Americans. The flooding in the Carolinas, where China came in and swooped up the land, President Trump has not ended the contract that NASA has to kill the people in the Carolinas. Now, this deadly dust in Nevada, now that the ground is good and dry because they're stopping all the rain, so the ground is broken up and has become dry dust, is now blowing east into Utah. The greatest concentration of atomic weapons, they were atomic, happened to be in southern Nevada, and that dust has blown into St. George, Utah. There was a construction site where the construction workers just dropped over dead 2 weeks ago. It was in the local papers. They just were working on a cat, blah, they're dead. Radiation was so high, it was incredible, like a nuclear waste site, like Angel Island, where they built the public housing, the black housing on Angel Island. That's where they used to dump nuclear radiation, so they built public housing on it. All public housing is built on toxic waste dumps. So when the trees, their leaves come up and it falls on the lawn, you're rolling in toxic waste. We covered this in a story years ago. So here but there's so many toxic waste sites across this country, from the production of primarily oil-based products such as saran wrap and plastics, and nuclear energy and nuclear weapons, that they can't even categorize them. They built them all, South Hill Mall, right on top of a frickin' chemical waste dump. And right above it on a hill, they built a housing complex right on top of a dump. They used to just throw the trash. For 50 years, they threw the trash over the hill. Then somebody closed it off, and 5 years later, they put houses up there. I'm gonna grow me some zucchini here. Right down here, if you go a block away. The creek that runs along the backyard. That creek that runs along that backyard. They dug a huge trench, filled it with used hot water tanks, and filled it in with dirt. It's got leaded paint in it. People who grow zucchini there drop over dead just a block away. We don't know what's in our soil. I know this farm hasn't been touched with toxic waste except from the sky since at least 1900s when they started working on this house. But you don't know. You could have moved into a beautiful house there, paid $450,000 for it, have a toxic waste dump. Our neighbor, there were 4 military trucks there for 35 years they dumped all their oil there. Our neighbor could grow a garden, beautiful garden. It'll be dead in a year. So this deadly dust is now entering Nevada, and it's making people sick. So I highly suggest you continue to watch our videos. I highly suggest you continue to look at the products we push, because if you do, there's a good chance you'll survive this dust. And it isn't just one or two. It's hundreds of people in St. George getting sick. And it's not a virus. And unbelievable evil in this country. And why did Trump flip on the Epstein files? Well, there's a gal named Juliette Bryant. 7 of the victims have come forward are dead. Juliette's not dead yet. She said, Epstein told me he worked with, listen to the words carefully, Epstein told me he worked with the CIA, and I saw him shapeshift into something else in front of my eyes. I want you to think about this. We know that there's a black star, a magnetic anomaly going to come from behind the sun. We just got hammered this weekend from a coronal hole. It's being caused by something. This magnetic anomaly will pop out in January. Supposing you're the real president, not some 5'6" fat double, and you know that the human race will be sent into total chaos in January through March. Now you can spin particles faster than the speed of light and go backwards in time, or almost the speed of light and go forward in time. So we're finding this 500,000-year-old hammer, this 2-billion-year-old nuclear reactor, a crypt of dead humans buried 300 feet down in a coal mine. We're finding all kinds of evidence of a spark plug 1 million years old. Imagine if you had unlimited money. We'll just raise the prices on food because they're all going to be dead in 6 months. Imagine if you were in a bell. You could go back in time to the time of the dinosaurs. Now you've got bazookas. You've got a bazooka right there, handheld bazooka. You got laser weapons. You start the generator. You poke a hole in a dinosaur. Not a big thing. We've been doing it since 1980. So this is 45-year-old technology. Imagine wrapping your starship with coltan, which is why you have conflicts in the Ukraine and Venezuela and the Congo over coltan. Now in the Congo, it's coming out the not just coltan, but cobalt. U.S. now controls 75% of the world's cobalt supplies. Imagine, if you will, of course, U.S. troops are protecting big industry, so my soldiers are dying to make the rich richer. So you coat your ship with a coltan, you can vibrate it faster than the speed of light. You go back in time and form another society. 2 billion years ago. First thing you do is obliterate the dinosaurs. It wasn't a meteorite that obliterated the dinosaurs. Maybe it was us, mankind. Now we've got about 5 million people living underground, but the earth is going like this, so their underground bases are collapsing, i.e. the cave-in Los Angeles. At the port, they went 450 feet down. The underground caves are collapsing. So you have chambers where you go back in time. Or ships that can transport iron, zinc, more likely mining equipment, a lot of people, and you want to keep it one race. You don't want to have blacks and Chinese, heaven forbid, or Indians. Oh my God. Oh my God. Unless they're a genius. So you travel back in time and you start another society. So by the time we, at this timeline, exist, mankind is already 2 billion years old. Epstein comes in, he shapeshifts, sometimes he looks like a draconian, maybe he looks like a microphone or a lamp or a computer. We don't know. We don't know how advanced their technology is. They can snap their fingers and make things happen. They're programmed, they're all chipped. They're the perfect chipped people. They're trying to chip us, so we become the perfect chipped person. But I want you to think about that. Epstein is something bigger than that. And Trump is scared. His staff is scared. They can't expose the RFK files. They can't, because it was, Bush and the CIA. They can't expose. Bush admitted it. Come on. Get over it, Trump. We can't expose the Epstein files. We can't expose a lot of things because he and his staff will disappear and they'll be replaced by somebody who looks just like them. I'm going to release the Epstein files. Poppycock, you don't have the guts. Anyway, so they're going to let the satanic sacrifices continue. And you think they go back in time and bring Satan with them, that they're going to last very long? That's why these societies come and go. Satan builds them up and destroys them. And mankind is too stupid to figure that out. By the way, if you have a child who's demon-possessed, start playing harp music and clean his room out. Anyway, just something to think about. God bless. Thank you very much. We didn't create a time machine to sit on the shelf. Not in 1936. The Germans didn't create it to sit on the shelf. That's why they're flying overhead. They're watching what's going to happen when this magnetic anomaly hits. Could they stop the magnetic anomaly? Yeah. Are they gonna? Why? God bless. Thank you very much. It's something to think about, though, isn't it? Maybe that's why they have a 2-billion-year-old reactor they just dug up and a billion-year-old crypt 300 feet down in a coal mine. Maybe that's why they have a hammer that's 500,000 years old. Maybe we've been there all along, but we're too scaredy-cat to admit it. God bless. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow.